Hey there, Rub-a-Dub subs, it's Blackmetalwerewolf making a brand new video for you this week. And this week's video is going to be about a question I have gotten several times throughout my life. A question that I think is very obnoxious, and I never quite understood why people ask this question. And that question is, why do you listen to metal? So, I don't know about you guys, but I have been asked that question several times throughout my life, and I'm not that old either. I've been asked by family members, friends, coworkers, and sometimes just random people I don't even know. The first time I really got this question and I actually started thinking about it was when I believe I was 18 or 19. I was looking for a job and I got a call back and I was going for a group interview. Those suck, let me tell you. Anyway, so there were about 4 or 5 of us being interviewed, and the person who was interviewing us sat us down. I was like, okay, let's go around and say something about ourselves so we all get to know each other and be more personable. Fantastic. So the first girl, she said, oh, well, I'm really into pop music, I like NASCAR, I live with my boyfriend, I like cats, blah, blah. Next guy, oh, well, I really like country music, I like NASCAR, I live with my girlfriend, blah, blah. Third person, oh, I really like rap music, and I like NASCAR. And at that point, I realized I'm probably going to be working with a lot of hillbillies. Ugh, wasn't a fan of that. Anyway, when it finally came to me, I said, oh, well, I'm an average guy, I like video games, movies, my beer cold, my TV loud, my action movies full of blood and tits, and I love heavy metal. And that's when everybody in the room kind of like twisted their faces and looked at me, and then one of them was like metal, like steel and like iron? I'm like, no, like heavy metal music, I really like heavy metal music. And then someone said, why? And when they said that, I wasn't really sure what to say back, other than, I like it. Like, what the fuck do you want from me? I came here for an interview, not to write you an essay why I like heavy metal. And then throughout my life, I did get it more from different people. So since I've been at the job, I'm actually the only person who has stayed from that group of people who actually stayed with the job. Anyway, at my job now, I train a lot of people. So when new people get hired, I'm the person who gets to train them. So, and then when I'm training these people, I like to talk with them, get to know them. I think it creates a good dialogue between everybody if we all are personable and get to know each other. And I would say, tell me about yourself. And they would say, oh, I like anime and country music. And I'd be polite because I'm Canadian and say, oh, who's your favorite artist? They'd tell me and blather on because I don't really give a shit. Then they'd usually ask me the question back. And then I would, of course, say, well, I like horror movies, action movies, beer cold, big tits, all that stuff. And, of course, I'd say, I really like heavy metal. And then once again, I would get the exact same response. Why? Why do you listen to heavy metal? And then again, like, oh, well, I just like the speed of it, the intensity, the lyrics, etc., etc. And then of course, I get the follow-up questions, how do you even understand them? What does that mean? Like, where do these bands come from? And then it just becomes a huge headache that I really don't actually like dealing with. But the more I go through my life, I realize what an obnoxious question that is to ask somebody. As if I have to explain myself for some divine reason to these people why I like heavy metal. I can't just like it because I like it. It always has to be some grand reason that no one can understand. Like, don't get me wrong, I get it. Not everybody likes heavy metal. I'm fine with that. I don't hate people who don't like it. I just understand that not everyone likes it. But I don't understand why some people have such an issue with me liking it. Do they always have to give me that jackass look on their face and ask the question, why do you like that? What the fuck does it matter to you? And that's when I kind of realized that if the roles were reversed and I were to act that way to somebody else telling me about something they liked, I would come off as some sort of snooty, elitist jackass. For example, if I were to ask someone what type of music they were into and they said rap, and I were reacted by saying, oh my god, how could you listen to that? How do you even understand them? Why do you like rap music? That sounds like a real jackass thing to say, don't you think? That is so obnoxious and so, like, rude to say that to somebody. But if, like, at my interview when I said I like heavy metal, everyone gave me that look. But if I were to have said that to anybody else about their taste in music or movies or anything else, everyone probably would have thought in their head that I was some sort of asshole. So, that's just weird to me. It's a bit of a double standard. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think metalheads are discriminated against. I just think it's really silly and stupid. And I kind of wonder that if I was in that situation again, if I'd never brought up that I liked heavy metal, and I just said something really outrageous and creepy, would people have been as polite and like understanding about it. For example, if I were to say I like heavy metal, people give me the look, blah blah. But if I never mentioned that and I said, oh well, I'm really into French expressionism snuff films, would people have just been really polite about it? I don't know. Is it just heavy metal, or is it just things that aren't socially acceptable? That's a pretty good. That's a social experiment I need to carry out one day, and I should videotape it and show you guys. Overall, I think there's actually only one person I ever accepted that question from, and it was my grandmother. I believe I was 17 at the time. It was Canada Day. My uncle was throwing a barbecue, so the whole family went. And I was talking to my grandma, and she said, "Oh, I know you really like music. Have you gone to any concerts lately?" And a few months earlier, I had gone and saw Ozzy Osbourne with a few of my friends. So I told her, oh, actually I went and saw Ozzy Osbourne. And my grandmother said, oh my goodness, why would you go see someone like that? Because when my dad was a teenager, he really loved Ozzy Osbourne, and he would go to Ozzy concerts. And of course, my grandparents fucking hated Ozzy. And I only accepted that from her because of her age. She grew up in a time where if you went and saw Ozzy Osbourne, someone was dragging you to church the next day to confess your sins. So that is the only person I will ever accept that question from. So as this video is closing up, I suppose I should actually confess to you guys why I do listen to heavy metal music. Like I said, it's a question I've been asked 1,000 times by 1,000 different people, but I think some people really need to know the truth. And the reason I listen to heavy metal is because there's very little dancing involved. Be it you're a performer on stage or someone in the crowd, you don't really have to dance. There are only a few dance moves really acceptable in the heavy metal community, and that's throwing up your horns and headbanging. Two things any white man can do. And as you can see, I'm a white man. I cannot dance to anything else. When I try to dance to any other type of music, I look like a baby giraffe trying to take its first steps. It's not a pretty sight, trust me. So, like my past videos, I either do an album recommendation or an album warning, and this one is another recommendation, believe it or not. It is Metal Massacre 14. If you don't know what Metal Massacre is, it is a compilation of really up-and-coming bands. Well, I don't even know if you'd say up-and-coming, but lesser-known bands produced by Metal Blade Records to try to get them off their feet. It even says in the little booklet here that there hasn't been a Metal Massacre album in quite some time, and, you know, chances are none of the bands on here are going to be the next Metallica. But, you know, there are good bands that deserve recognition, and I listen to this album again and again, and I do like most of the bands on here. So if you come across Metal Massacre 14, I highly suggest picking it up. So that's it for today's video. If you like what you saw, don't forget to like and subscribe, and leave me a comment letting me know what you thought of today's video. Also, leave me a comment letting me know why you guys listen to heavy metal music. I'd love to know. And don't forget, while you're at it, check out some of my past videos too. If you want to keep up with me on a more daily basis, you can follow me on Instagram. I'll be putting my Instagram name in the description. And you can also follow me on Facebook now. I have an official Facebook page, and I'll be putting a link to that in the description. If you'd like to write me a letter, I have a P.O. box open now. So I'll be putting my P.O. box in the description, so feel free to write me a letter if you are so inclined. So overall, thank you very much for watching, guys, and stay brutal. Oh, and I suppose before I close this up here, I know a lot of people are going to be asking what my t-shirt is. So it's a Todd and the Book of Pure Evil shirt from Fright Rags. It was a limited print a couple of years ago, and if you've never watched Todd and the Book of Pure Evil, you definitely should. It's an awesome show.